Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a single topic and really explore it using the sources you've shared with us.
That's right, getting into the details.
Exactly. And today we're going on, well, an architectural journey. We're looking at the evolution, the sheer variety, really, of bank design across the globe.
And our guide for this is Bank Architecture by LIU Hanlon. It's packed with fascinating examples.
It really is. Everything from these, huge headquarters down to local branches, different countries, different ideas about what a bank should even look like.
It promises some surprises, I think. It challenges that old idea of what a bank building is.
Totally. We're going to see how the actual structure, the design choices communicate a bank's values and how it connects or tries to connect with its community. So, okay, let's dive in. What does a bank building really tell us?
Well, straight away, these examples show that the traditional image, the secure, maybe slightly imposing building, that's being actively rethought.
A departure from the fortress mentality, as you said before we started.
Precisely. A real move away from that.
Okay, so let's kick off with the ANZ Centre. Melbourne, Australia finished around 2010.
Right.
And instead of imposing, they went for this urban campus idea, like making the bank feel part of the city, accessible, almost like a university space.
Which is quite a concept for a bank headquarters.
And what's really striking, I thought, was that most of its floor space is actually for shared interactive stuff.
Yeah, that's a huge percentage. For a major financial institution, that says a lot about their priorities, doesn't it?
It really does. It feels like a statement, moving away from just transactions to, well, engagement.
Exactly. It suggests they believe that integrating with the community fosters trust. And it wasn't just about physical access either. They really pushed the boat out on green initiatives.
Oh, yeah. Setting benchmarks.
First-time green features, really aiming for high environmental and social sustainability standards.
And the design itself, it seems very tied to the location. Flowing shapes inspired by the river.
Yes, and the colors reflect that, too. Earth tones near the ground, moving up to light blue, mirroring the water and sky.
They even used recycled timber cladding, a nod to the maritime history of the area.
Right, and a green wall that literally connects the building to the park next door, Docklands Park.
But the heart of it seems to be this central area, the common, big daylight-filled space.
Yeah, designed like a mini city inside. Plazas, laneways, cafes, public art.
And they even use bluestone paving, like you find in Melbourne's famous laneways. That level of detail is incredible.
That deliberate blurring, indoor-outdoor, integrating with the city fabric. It's all about saying we're part of this community.
Not separate.
Not separate. It's about belonging, accessibility. And we see similar themes, though maybe expressed differently elsewhere, like the DNB and Nordart office building in Riga, Latvia, also around 2010.
Right, Riga. This was the first office building in a new development area, wasn't it?
It was a newly developed multifunction area.
And aesthetically, quite different. 2 10-story blocks.
Connected by a transparent bit, and then this big rectangular roof slab over everything.
What caught my eye was the description of the open area under that roof. How it changes the entrance feel.
Yeah, it really draws you in, blurs those indoor-outdoor lines again, creates a welcoming entry.
They even said it almost sucks in the street under the roof.
It does, that spatial connection, and the materials are quite distinct. Dark stone, aluminum glazing, frosted glass with lights in it. Very modern.
It also mentions separate entrances for visitors and employees. What does that suggest?
Well, it hints at different operational flows, perhaps, managing the public face versus the private workspace, and inside, mostly open-plan offices.
Okay, moving on. Sarajevo, Bosnia-Herzegovina. The Raiffeisen headquarters. First building 2009, second 2011.
Yeah, this one feels significant given the context.
Absolutely. Rising from an area scarred by the Civil War. It's positioned as a symbol, right? A restart.
A modern landmark, yeah. Signaling hope, a future perspective. The big feature is the atrium.
Over 12 stories high.
Massive. Entrance hall, representation space, manages all the movement, vertical and horizontal, and brings light deep into the building, which is described as quite cubistic.
Must be quite something inside, with bridges crossing the atrium, creating different views.
Yeah, dynamic perspectives. And lots of glass, transparent and mirrored, maximizing that openness. High-quality office spaces with insights and outsights, as they put it.
Playing with views, perspective.
Exactly. And the second building faces the river, housing more public stuff, training center, restaurant,
Yeah.
really linking it to the city.
So it shows how bank architecture can tie into these bigger stories, right? Urban recovery, national resilience.
Definitely. Using design to communicate progress.
Okay, let's hit to Vilnius, Lithuania. Swedbank head office, 2009. Also in a new developing area, political, commercial, recreational.
And the interesting thing here was the intent. They wanted it to integrate with the riverbank development, but not dominate it.
How do you achieve that?
Uh-huh.
Being a landmark but not the landmark.
Well, part of it was this focus on openness and public access again. They made the old Akmergis Street the main axis. And get this, they created an internal pedestrian street.
Inside the bank, as public space.
Yeah, pretty bold. Essentially inviting the public right through the heart of the building.
Wow, so the building itself, two parts, high-rise bits and a lower section.
Uh-huh. 15 and 16 stories, and then this lower part with what they call a broken-lined parterre.
A parterre, like a formal garden, but with non-straight lines.
Yeah,
More visually interesting.
exactly. Less rigid. And a huge terrace overlooking the river, over 4,500 square meters.
That's massive. And the ground floor sounds like a public attraction itself. Cafe, auditorium, reading room.
Yeah, intended as a year-round public draw, it really underlines Swedbank positioning itself as part of the community infrastructure, not just a financial entity.
And the materials. High quality, long lasting.
Very much so. And those stainless metal plates on the outside, polished in different directions, that creates a multicolored effect depending on the light.
So it feels both impressive and accessible. A long-term commitment feel.
That's the idea.
Okay, back down under Bendigo, Australia. Bendigo Bank, Stage 1, 2009.
Right.
Here, the key drivers were listed as community, transparency, staff interaction, and user control.
And what's really interesting about Bendigo is their explicit focus on staff as their core asset.
Empowering them, letting them tailor their environment.
Exactly. Recognizing that happy, engaged staff benefit everyone. And their whole culture is based on this idea that the community's success drives the bank's success.
So the building had to reflect that connection.
It did, not something separate or overly corporate.
The design centers on an internal street and two atriums, the glue holding it together.
Yeah, binding these different fingers of the building. And they call these sections neighborhoods?
Neighborhoods, like little zones within the bank.
Uh-huh. Around 3,500 square meters each, designed to be sort of self-sufficient with their own identity.
But not isolated.
No, they're linked by the atriums, the street, bridges, creating a sense of the overall metropolis, as they termed it. It's a clever way to balance team spaces and that bigger sense of community.
Fostering both focus and interaction. Nice. Okay, Eisenstadt, Austria. Raiffeisen Finance Center, 2010.
This one sounds like it had some tricky regulations to deal with.
Yeah, the description says the design playfully responds to building rules and floor requirements.
Turning constraints into features, perhaps. The result is this continuous building envelope, a unified form.
Giving it a strong identity.
For staff and customers, yeah. Speaks to the cohesion of the bank.
And the materials, aluminum sandwich panels, colored to look like coins or match the corporate ID.
Apparently so. And these narrow windows specifically to cut glare on computer screens.
Narrow windows. Wonder what that feels like inside. But does it create a distinct look outside?
It likely does. And what's interesting is how the inside mirrors the outside. Glass partitions for offices onto corridors, promoting views, transparency again.
That seems to be a recurring theme.
It is. And the whole layout is on a 1.30 meter grid. Super flexible for moving office walls around.
Directly reflecting the internal organization.
Yeah, they can even vary the amount of glass on those partitions based on communication needs. Very integrated, very adaptable.
Suggests a flexible company structure. Okay, Copenhagen, Denmark.
Yeah.
Saxo Bank, 2008.
A young, dynamic internet bank. Online trading focus.
So you expect something modern, right? Forward thinking.
Definitely. They wanted the building to be iconic, believing architecture actually affects staff performance.
Interesting belief. So the design had to balance reliability with dynamism.
Exactly. Fit their cutting-edge profile, project stability, and innovation.
The shape sounds cool. Two blocks joined by façades set back with double-curved glass like waving fabric.
Yeah, very fluid exterior. Creates quite an effect, I imagine.
And inside, openness and transparency.
Centered around a big, softly shaped, glass-roofed atrium, main staircase winding up through it.
Sounds dramatic. But the main attraction was the trading floor.
That's what they highlight, really embodying that fast-paced online trading world.
Does focusing on an internal space like the trading floor slightly contradict the openness elsewhere, though?
That's a fair question. Maybe it reflects the different facets of their business, the public face versus the engine room, so to speak.
Okay, from sleek Copenhagen to Milan, Italy. Italy's headquarters, 2009. This was the data center conversion, right?
Yes. Took an obsolete data center and turned it into high-tech offices in under a year.
That's incredibly fast. What are the challenges in repurposing a building like that? So specific.
Huge challenges. Massive demolition, adding floors, redesigning the entire internal flow, new equipment, underground parking. It's a testament to adaptive reuse, really.
Breathing new life into old infrastructure.
Exactly. And they designed it for future flexibility, too. Multi-tenant use was considered from the start.
Smart. Minimalist feel inside.
Hmm.
Glass walls, soft colors.
Mostly, yeah. With stronger colors linking workspaces to support areas. And they didn't just focus on the building, they redid the parking lot outside into a pedestrian square and garden.
Green and dry areas. Nice touch.
Yeah.
That adaptability seems key for long-term value.
Especially in cities that change quickly. Ensures the building stays relevant.
Next stop, Luxembourg. European Investment Bank, 2008. This sounds seriously impressive and eco-conscious.
It really is. The standout feature is this enormous glass roof, 13,000 square meters, extending the existing buildings.
Huge. Providing space for up to 750 employees. That scale, that glass. It shouts transparency, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That tubular glass roof, 170 meters long, designed to maximize daylight.
And the building plan is a zigzag to encourage less hierarchy, more interaction.
That's the idea. A non-linear plan trying to influence workplace dynamics.
How does that work in practice, I wonder? Does it force more encounters?
Potentially. And the ecological design is central. The roof curves around, creating atriums in the V-gaps.
With winter gardens acting as climate buffers.
Unheated buffers, yeah. And naturally ventilated warm atriums for circulation. Plus individual climate controls that reset automatically.
So it's no wonder it got an excellent BRAME environmental rating.
No surprise at all. A major commitment to sustainability on a big scale.
Right. Now, Munster, Germany, NRW Bank, 2009. This one involved a new building alongside a listed historic one.
Yeah, the challenge of integrating modern with historic.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Respectfully, but confidently.
Well, the idea was to show an open, future-focused bank that still respects its roots. So the new building mirrors the old monument height, proportions, even materials.
Creating a dialogue between them.
A coordinated image showing the layers of history. It's a balancing act.
It's described as a compact volume, different surfaces, a 7-story tower over a 1-story base, forming a new square.
And a big glazed lobby interacting with that square. The connection between old and new at ground level even restores an old historic entrance.
Oh, that's a nice detail, bringing back part of the city's history.
And the surprising thing is, by placing the new building behind the old one, they created this new, freely accessible public square.
Ah, so the placement was key. Plus, well-proportioned atriums inside for light.
It's a thoughtful integration, revitalizing the urban space for everyone.
Next German stop, Karlsruhe. Volksbank HQ Reconstruction 2008. This one had that personal title, 3SL.
Light, air, and quality of life, stemming from 3 atrium sections.
How did that translate into the design, that focus on quality of life?
Well, the aims were very human-centered. Improve the office quality of life, believing it boosts work culture, motivation, even corporate identity.
Linking the physical space to well-being.
Exactly. The building opens to a quiet park on one side, and on the other, facing traffic, there's this shield facade.
Protecting from noise and sun.
Yes, and filtering sunlight into these vertical lobbies called open spaces, used for rest and communication.
So those open spaces are key for interaction.
Seems so. Permeating the office levels vertically, creating a network, aiding orientation. And it led to an open plan structure, allowing more individual workstation setup.
Plus a focus on environmental responsibility, CO2 reductions.
Significant estimated reductions through regenerative energy, a holistic approach people and planet.
Okay, one last German example. A branch of BW Bank in Böblingen, 2007. Influenced by the historic town center.
Context is key here. Corner position relating to surrounding building heights and eaves.
How did they do that? A modern building in a historic setting.
They actually cut away parts of the maximum potential volume to match neighboring roof lines.
Oh, interesting. And contrasted transparent glass on those cutout bits with a more solid stone facade elsewhere.
Exactly. A dialogue between new and old, respecting the existing architectural language.
Entrance on the main corner, Foyer, customer area.
Well,
Upper floors for offices, basement for vaults and tech. Pretty standard layout.
fairly standard, yes, but with a central core allowing floors to potentially be rented out individually. Practical flexibility.
Built-in adaptability. Makes sense for a branch.
And it feels like it belongs, which is crucial in a historic context.
Right. Let's head to Tokyo, Japan. Shugamo Shinkin Bank Shimura Branch, 2011. Their motto is, pleasure in serving happy customers.
A lovely motto. And a focus on hospitality.
How does the architecture reflect that?
Well, they aim for a refreshing atmosphere, sense of nature, open sky motif. It's about creating a positive experience beyond just banking.
The facade sounds amazing. A rainbow stack of colored layers.
Yeah, reflecting onto the white surface, creating warmth, and faintly lit at night, changing with seasons and time.
Wow. Inside, elliptical skylights, dandelion puff motifs on the ceiling. That sounds quite whimsical.
It does, trying to evoke a joyful, uplifting feeling in customers, ATMs, tellers, colorful chairs on the ground floor.
And these long glass airwells bringing in light and air.
Flooding the space with light, helping circulation. It's designed to feel welcoming, almost like stepping into a different world.
A very different banking experience. Now back to Germany. Bad Reichenhall. Sparkasse Berchtesgadener Land, redesigned 2008.
This was a redesign of an existing 70s building, focused on resource-conscious continuity.
So modernizing but keeping the existing structure and local ties.
Exactly. Creating a unique facility with a local commitment, even with standard corporate ID elements. They made subtle but effective changes.
Like removing old sunshades. Exposing structural elements.
Yes, revealing the commissure heads where supports meet beams, creating these large horizontal surfaces, then adding a simple transparent sunshade and a covered outdoor area, transforming, not replacing.
The roof matches the mountains in winter. A white-hipped roof.
Coordinates with the snowy landscape, yeah. And they replaced entrance stairs with building high-water trickle walls.
Water walls. As an attraction and for cooling.
And the whole color scheme is based on the local salt spectrum. Light pink to dark purple really ties it to the region.
That local connection seems key to strengthening community ties.
It creates a real sense of place, respects heritage and environment. Well done.
Okay, Denmark again. Middelfart Savings Bank, 2010. Goal: provide a public space and an icon for the town.
Making a savings bank a civic landmark. Ambitious.
Did they pull it off? The roof sounds incredible. 83 prism-like skylights.
Very dramatic. Referencing the sea, local timber buildings. It frames views of the water while shading from the sun. Definitely a distinctive, memorable shape.
And the ground floor is like a public plaza. Bookshop, cafe, real estate agent.
Yeah, real public meeting space. The bank workstations are on open terraces above, connected by wide stairs.
All with daylight and water views. Sounds lovely. And sustainable features, too.
Natural ventilation, energy-efficient heating cooling using the building's concrete structure to regulate temperature, saving significant energy. Shows how a bank can be a multifunctional community hub.
Offering more than just banking. Contributing to town life.
Exactly.
Next up, Fossano, Italy, 2007. Cooperative Credit Bank Branch. The facade here sounds wild, a cascade of chains.
Totally unexpected for a bank. Dynamic, surprising, like an exhibition center. Really strips away the traditional bank image.
Aiming for lightness, unconventionality.
Definitely. Surprising outside, but they say intimate and welcoming inside. Skillful use of glass, metal, stainless steel.
Strips of light, transparent stairs, an architectural promenade.
Yeah.
Even a kids' play area.
Yeah, quite unusual. It suggests they want to be approachable, family-friendly, maybe more human.
An ode to clarity and transparency, but with this feeling of ordinary domesticity. Interesting mix.
Very interesting. Trying to redefine that customer relationship.
Now to the U.S. Modesto, California. Bank of Stockton, 2008. Edge of an expanding community. Modern but rooted in Central Valley history.
How do they bridge that, modernity and heritage?
2 simple volumes. 1 transparent glass for the public. 1 opaque clad in recycled glass tiles resembling local granite for private areas.
The duality again. Public versus private, future versus past place.
And a transaction counter is the literal junction. It was designed as an adaptable prototype too.
Forward-looking and connected to the region, smart. They also integrated systems well.
Yeah, solar roofing, raised floors for ventilation and cables, prism skylights, honest use of materials, steel, wood, recyclable glass tile.
And that folded roof held up by tree-like columns echoing almond orchards. Nice local touch.
Very evocative. Modern systems, local imagery.
Speaks to both efficiency and place.
Okay, final German example. Sparkasse in Hettingen, 2007, a glass banking pavilion, an investment in the community's future.
A glass pavilion. How does that handle security concerns for a bank?
Well, the materials are glass and steel, playing with that tension between security and transparency. Clean, simple aesthetic, dynamic colors inside.
So the transparency invites people in, but the overall design implies order and control.
Perhaps it contrasts sharply with the traditional houses around it. Hand-polished aluminum, tall glass panes, concealed sunshades, timeless modern interior.
A freestanding cabinet wall hiding the tech stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supported by cross-shaped columns, concealed surfaces in the ceiling plenum, it's a modern statement in a traditional place.
Symbolizing a forward look for the community, maybe.
Back to Seoul, Korea. Hana Bank, Yeongdong Branch, 2010. Reflecting that shift from function to sales service focus.
Embodying corporate philosophy, customer engagement.
How does the design prioritize engagement? It's in a high tourist area.
Right, so it's a flagship for communication. The concept is a bank that grows trees, likening tree growth to customer asset growth.
A metaphor for the relationship.
Exactly. The ground floor is a brand PR space, digital tree activity, cultural rest spot, currency exchange for tourists.
A very welcoming first impression. Upper floors handle banking, VIPs.
Yes, with specific VIP patterns used in the design. It's all about creating an engaging space for a diverse crowd, reinforcing the brand.
Okay, one last Japanese example. Sugamo Shinkin Bank again, Tokiwadai Branch 2010, hospitality focus again.
And here the motif is leaves, creating a refreshing, natural feeling.
How does the leaf motif work?
Facade has tree silhouettes, colorful windows, and a rhythmic pattern like signage. Playful, inviting exterior.
Stands out from the usual commercial buildings.
Inside, ATMs, tellers, colorful chairs, courtyards on the ground floor. Upper floors have offices, staff areas, more courtyards. 7 light-filled courtyards in total, connecting everything.
Wow. And a constellation of leaves on walls and windows, overlapping with real trees.
Creates this magical forest feel, apparently. Truly unique, uplifting, banking experience.
Prioritizing emotional well-being. Amazing. Penultimate stop.
Yeah.
Doha, Qatar. Barwa Bank, 2011.
This was the challenge. Design the most progressive Islamic bank. Balance modernity and tradition.
What specific considerations come into play there for an Islamic financial institution?
They studied Qatari history, traditions, the bank's values, plus Western and Middle Eastern banking models. The result included a central area with multifunctional workstations, touch screens, paperless banking.
So embracing tech while respecting culture.
Finding that design language. Aiming for a balanced tangibility, simplicity, a welcoming yet sophisticated feel, nuanced architectural identity.
Carefully navigating the practical and the cultural.
It seems so.
And our final bank, Zurich, Switzerland. Raiffeisen Bank, 2008. Flagship branch, aimed to dissolve barriers, create an open bank.
A space of encounter. How did the architecture achieve that?
Advanced tech made infrastructure invisible, concealed terminals. Robotic safe deposit access. The focus shifted to a light-filled lounge. More like high-end retail.
Learning about products, services in a relaxed setting. Info table with market data, local history.
Yeah, creating a welcoming, informative environment. Flowing walls blend areas. And portraits of past local residents grounded in the local culture.
Nice touch, connecting past and future. It feels like a real community hub.
Redefining that relationship, moving beyond just transactions.
Towards more meaningful connections. A great example to end on.
So, wrapping up this deep dive into bank architecture, it's clear these buildings are way more than just places for money, aren't they?
Absolutely. They're potent symbols, reflecting values, community connections, future visions.
We've seen such diversity, prioritizing public interaction, sustainability, local culture, creating really welcoming, innovative spaces.
A huge range of approaches.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, our listener. Think about the banks you use, the ones you walk past. How does their architecture speak to you?
Yeah, what values do you think they're communicating, consciously or not? What kind of experience do they create?
What message do you reckon they're trying to send with their design? It's definitely worth looking at these everyday spaces with maybe a fresh perspective.
See them with a more critical eye.